Hey everybody, welcome to Bucketman Scouting. Today I'm going to do a film breakdown on 2023 draft prospect out of the University of Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr. He is my top tackle in this year's draft. He is 6'6", 315 pounds. I'm going to go through his strengths and weaknesses real quick, and then we'll get into this film breakdown. Also want to clarify, these strengths and weaknesses are strictly my own by watching hours upon hours of the film. So strength number 1, above average football smarts and general intelligence, plays with a nasty streak. Strength number 2, good natural athleticism, knee bend, and fluid lateral movement. Strength number 3, best on the outside because of his height and athleticism, but is capable of blocking on the move. Strength number 4, quick out of his stance with the footwork to be effective in front of screens. Strength number 5, has the feet to adjust when he anticipates what's coming, effective trapping and bends at the knees with an adequate core strength to absorb the bull rush. And then the final strength I have for him, which is strength number 6, quick feet to get inside of defensive tackles to wall off inside and reach linebackers at the second level. So we're going to his weaknesses now. Weakness number 1, can be beat off the edge, coming out of his stance, lunging to reach speedy wide rushers. Weakness number 2, needs to prove his worth in a straight-ahead running game. So those are the weaknesses I have for him. I have 2 weaknesses for him. This is one of the better prospects coming out in this year's draft in terms of his technical game and his fluidity and what you're looking for as an agile offensive lineman, especially an offensive tackle. This guy, to me, fits the West Coast zone running scheme to a T. He reminds me a lot of Ronnie Stanley coming out of Notre Dame, who has that fluidity and just very technical in his game. So the film review I chose was his game against Luke Van Ness, defensive end for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So let's get into this film review. So you see right here, I have it lined up for you guys where he has really good footwork and he's able to get out of his stance. You're going to see on this play how he gets himself in trouble with his close footwork, but watch his read and react ability in terms of his recoverability with this foot getting back into alignment, this foot getting back into alignment, and you're going to see his hip-to-hip fluidity show on this play. You see how he's able to recover. You have Luke Van Ness, number 51, with an excellent bull rush move, but then you have Paris Johnson Jr. able to recover getting underneath those breastplates there. So I think that's a very good play on his part. His ability to recover on this play, I think, is very good. You're going to see right about there. You see how I have it lined up with the arrow right here? And the reason I am getting more editing done with these film reviews is because I want to show people more detail-oriented views on how I view the film. And you're going to see right here, look at the footwork. Look how he gets himself in trouble on this play. And that gives Luke Van Ness, number 91, the ability to bull rush him back into C.J. Stroud, the quarterback. And you see how I pointed out right there. Keep going. And then he's getting that bull rush. You have Luke Van Ness able to push him back into C.J. Stroud on this play. Luckily, C.J. Stroud is able to get the ball out when he sees that interior pressure from 91 come right about there. That outside pressure, not interior pressure. So you see the footwork, how he gets himself in trouble on that play. It's not very good in terms of right about there. You see how he gets himself in trouble with his close footwork. He needs to keep a wide base, get better hip-to-hip fluidity. Luke Van Ness does a very good job of getting underneath him and getting that bull rush and getting that initial contact right there. Right about there. And then he just pushes him into C.J. Stroud. Again, Paris Johnson, in terms of his technical game in the pass protecting phase, does need to get a little bit better. But throughout the season for Ohio State, Paris Johnson did get a lot better in terms of his technical game in the pass blocking phase. I think that this guy is the best run blocking tackle in this year's draft. But in terms of his pass protection phase, there were things throughout the year that he got better at in terms of his footwork, in terms of his general intelligence on what if he was facing it, whether it was a bull power rushing outside linebacker or speed rushing outside linebacker. You see his hands there, and then just gets pushed back into CJ Stroud. Again, this is why having good technical form, because that's good technical form right there. That's what I want for my offensive tackle. But right here, see his knees are very close together. His feet are perfect, but then he's going to have to recover on this play, and he does a poor job of doing that. See how close his feet are together? And you see how he's able to get his foot back into alignment, especially this foot. Watch that foot right there. And you see Luke Van Ness getting the initial contact. He has him. Luke Van Ness won this rep, in my personal opinion. Pushes him into CJ Stroud. Okay, on this play right here, you have Luke Van Ness as that standing outside linebacker. You have Paris Johnson Jr., number 77, in that 2-point stance. This is what a 2-point stance looks like, and this is what a 3-point stance looks like. So if people need more clarification on that, this is what a 2-point stance looks like. This is what a 3-point stance looks like. So we're going to see what Paris Johnson does here. It has a good wide base. So it's going to be a halfback toss, it looks like, to the right side here. Yep. I like how quickly, right about there, I like how quickly he's able to read and recover here, especially walling off the left side. I like his ability, his hip-to-hip fluidity to turn, get his foot right there. But then you see when there are points in his game where he has his feet too close together, and that I don't like that for my offensive tackles. I like my offensive linemen especially to have good footwork, because that's going to save you as an offensive lineman. But he's able to wall off that side, able to contain Luke Van Ness on this play. But again, I don't like this form right here. And I don't like how close his feet are together. And you see me pointing it right here. I do not like that at all. Thank God that was a halfback toss, because if CJ Stroud was going to roll back, I believe that Luke Van Ness would have had Paris Johnson beat on that play. Because you see, look at that. You want to have better form as an offensive lineman, and you also want your footwork to be a lot more exceptional than what you're showing against Luke Van Ness, because Luke Van Ness is a very solid player for Iowa, and Iowa has really good defenses. And you see he gives Luke Van Ness that opportunity to make a play on that play. Right about there. I like how he's very agile for an offensive lineman. Very agile. And that's why I think he would fit the West Coast zone running system a lot better. His fluidity and his ability to get to the second level and how he can turn his hips is exceptional. Okay, on this play right here, Luke Van Ness is playing that standing outside linebacker role. You have Paris Johnson Jr. in that 3-point stance with the hand in the dirt right there. You have a single back. He's in the backfield, number 3. So we're going to see what happens on this play for Paris Johnson, see if he does a better job. Okay, again, I don't like where he started off, too, with this play, where he gets his hands on the outside. I like my offensive lineman to get underneath those breastplates. But he has very good footwork on this play. I like how quickly he gets out of his stance, but look how wide his arms are. We're going to go back and watch that. Look how wide his arms are right there. Again, you do not want that. You want your offensive linemen, especially if they're in that 3-point stance, to have them very close to your breastplate as an offensive lineman, and you get underneath the breastplate of the defensive lineman. Again, you see how wide it is? I mean, and then that gives Luke Van Ness all the ability to world to do a bull rush on that play. So Paris Johnson Jr. out of that stance does a poor job, because look how wide his hands are, and that gives Luke Van Ness to get underneath those breastplates there. But then look at that recoverability right there. You see how he snatches his hands back, and look at the left side. He's getting no pressure on that side. Does a very good job. Has very, very good footwork on this play. Has very good form. His hip-to-hip fluidity is exceptional. That's a very good recovering ability play by Paris Johnson Jr. on that play. Very good play. Has one arm right here, but this other arm's getting underneath that breastplate there. That's what you want. He's chopping his feet. That's what you want from your offensive lineman. Again, now he's starting to lose that battle. He needs to recover. Move this way a little bit more. Because Luke Van Ness can just rip him, do a rip move right there. See how he did that rip move? So he better not, he shouldn't be holding. Okay, on this play, now you have the help with the tight end here. I have it, my apologies. I have it brightened up for you guys. He's in a 3-point stance again. You're in a pistol set formation. See what he does on this play. I'm telling you, run blocking. He's an exceptional run blocker. That's a very good play to get out of your stance. That's what you want to see from an agile offensive lineman. Get underneath. And I want to do this more going forward, is I want to zoom in on the player, and I found a lot of tools to do that. I want to zoom in on the player and show you guys the detailed-oriented stuff that I look for on film. Paris Johnson, to me, is still my top tackle in this year's draft, but there are some things, and not every draft prospect is perfect. I'm not saying every draft prospect is perfect, but the reason I compare him to a Ronnie Stanley is because there were fixable things that going to the NFL, going to the right team. If Paris Johnson goes to a West Coast zone running scheme and he has a good offensive line coach and good players around him that can help bring out his best technical form, especially in the pass blocking phase, I think that this guy will be one of the best tackles in the NFL, in my personal opinion. He's a very agile offensive lineman. And you see right here, again, he needs to get better with his hand work. You can't have your hands wide like that and give Luke Van Ness all the freedom in the world to do that bull rush and to set the edge. You have to set the tone as an offensive lineman. Again, he's just bear hugging him. You cannot be bear hugging as an offensive lineman, because that's going to get you in trouble 9 times out of 10, especially in the National Football League. But he's able to recover there. You see right there. You see how he's able to recover, get underneath there, and just drive him. Drive him, drive him, drive him. That's what you want right there. Perfect, perfect. That's what you want from your offensive lineman, especially an agile offensive lineman. Just continue to set the tone on the edge as an offensive lineman, because as a defensive end, they're going to do everything they can to bully you, and they're going to try and set the tone on the edge, but it's your responsibility to lock down the left side of the field, and it's your responsibility for you to set the tone on what side of the field you're playing, left or right or interior, as an offensive lineman. Okay, on this play right here, you have a 2-point stance for number 77. I have it lined up for you guys right here. 2-point stance. See what he does here. Again, I don't like when they bend like that, especially they have poor form. Back foot right there. Good kick out. But then you see right here, that is poor form for an offensive lineman. That is just very poor form and for my liking. But again, you see how he's keeping his feet together, and then that's the form I want right there. Like you're sitting in a chair, you're moving your feet. Very good, very good, very good by Paris Johnson. He has very long arms for an offensive lineman, and he is a very tall human being. This guy is one of the taller offensive tackles in this year's draft, in my personal opinion. But again, he needs to get better in the pass protecting phase. And I just hope that he goes to the right team. He's getting pushed back, able to recover on that play. Guy running right in the middle of the field there. He should be passing it to him. So let me know what you guys think in the comment sections below. Again, he is my top tackle in this year's draft. There are things that he needs to get better at. I'm not saying every draft prospect is perfect, but out of all the tackles I have watched film on consistently, and this is against Luke Van Ness. Luke Van Ness is no scrub, and I wanted to see him go against Luke Van Ness. There are points throughout that series that he looked good at, but there's also points throughout the series that he needs to get better at. And I think going to the right NFL team, the right offensive line room, and the right coaching room, I think that this guy could be one of the better tackles in the NFL. It's just all about where he goes. It's all about if he wants to take to coaching and he wants to take to the right coaching, if he wants to get better at watching film himself, because the only way you're going to grow as a player is if you're going to watch film and grow, and if you're going to take the coaching to the right coaching. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This is Paris Johnson Jr. out of the University of Ohio State. He is 6'6", 315 pounds, and to me, he is the top tackle in this year's draft.